Guys, let's try this again. I'm Marianne Goldweber. I'm a spiritual teacher, professional medium, and the owner of a Village Personal and Spiritual Development Center. I had some technical difficulties a second ago, so we're trying this again. So I'm coming to you live tonight to talk a little bit about staying inspired and this new year, new you. I mean, we're all new people now, and I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit about that. So I'm going to give everybody a little second to get on here because, like I said, I had technical difficulties before, and I had to start over. So I apologize for that. So again, I'm Marianne Goldweber. I'm a professional medium, spiritual teacher, and I own a Village Personal and Spiritual Development. And I've been doing this podcast, Marianne's House, for the last, probably about the last 6 months to a year, trying to keep everybody connected during COVID and this time that we're all kind of separated from each other. So tonight I'm very excited because we're going to be starting our new year, and I just want to make sure that everybody, stays inspired. So, and gets a game plan for what's about to happen. So I'm looking forward to that. Hey, Peggy and Dolores, Claire, welcome back. Sorry, guys. So, yes, I'm going to be taking some questions along the way. But if you guys want to grab your notebook and your beverage of choice, of course, mine is, my usual. You're going to hear some really cool stuff tonight about, what we've done. So at the beginning of this COVID shutdown that we've had, um, it really just upheaved everybody's reality. And what's happened over the last year is really, I'm just going to go with the last year because it's actually been going on a lot longer than that. Because I've been doing this work for over 23 years, and so there's been a lot of prophecies and things that have told us that a lot of these things were going to happen. Our astrology backs it all up. So if you guys get a chance to go back onto my YouTube channel, which is under Marianne Goldweber, you'll be able to watch all the videos that I've done before this. And I've had a lot of really great special guests. In fact, the last special guest I had was Gloria Savage, who actually is an astrologer. And we were talking about this, this monumental astrology that's going on right now. And it's the hearkening of just such a really amazing wave of evolution, if we can all catch that wave and get into the flow. And so you guys have been following me this whole time. I have just been so proud of watching you guys, in spite of all the limitations, to really stop and really reflect and look at where you're at and get ready for some of the really cool stuff that's going to be going on in our lives. So it's definitely been a grief process and a learning process. And so that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about tonight is, how do we take all of that information now that we've reached kind of this end of this 1 year grieving process, which we're going to kind of talk about a little bit. And now that we come into this almost like a establishing a new normal so far, okay? And the change is still imminent and things are going to happen. And we're going to have to, continue being inspired and connected and all of that. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them in, and I'm going to go back and read them when it comes time for that. So anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. Um, so I've been channeling for like over 30 years. I started channeling messages from the other side for myself for many years before I ever did this professionally for other people. And the what I refer to as the awakening that I had at that time was really more of a destruction of my personal illusion of what I thought my life was. And I had made a lot of decisions with a lot of inaccurate information from, lots of places that we talk about, all these different conditionings that we receive as human beings. So whether that's our family, or it's our culture, or it's society, or it's religion, gender, all of these different systems taught us that this is how life is and this is who we're supposed to be. Well, as most of you know, when we reach these upheavals in life, a lot of those rules don't apply anymore. And that's basically what's been happening is our whole world has gone through this kind of I hate the word timeout, but this cease of activity in order to really stop and see what the truths are, and again, we can't really acknowledge um, things until we're willing to acknowledge the truth of a situation, whether it's our own personal situation or whether it's a situation out in the world that we come to a place of through that process of truth. So a lot of us woke up and realized we didn't know a lot, or we were fed misinformation. And so that's what we're doing now is we're these forerunners of change in our world because all these systems are, as we're seeing, not working. And we have to reevaluate who we are, what we do, and how we do it. And how do we come together, not pushing us further apart? How do we heal um, these traumas with love, and acceptance and inclusion? And so that's something that I've been talking about for over 30 years. So now that we're all had a bit of this experience, now you can see how these spiritual tools will apply if you apply them. So, like I said, I know a lot of you guys have been following me for a very long time, and and you know, it's one thing, I told Jared this one day, my son. I said, it's kind of like telling people what it's like to be pregnant, okay? You really can't describe to somebody what it's like to be pregnant and give birth. I mean, you can describe it only to a certain extent, but until you actually experience it, none of that information necessarily sticks or makes sense until you're actually in the experience. So that's kind of what I feel like is happened is that during this last 30 years that I've been talking about these things. And everybody is used to like the fluffy kind of, you know, metaphysical new age spirituality or, so far away from that like structured, concrete, hypocritical kind of things that a lot of people got with religion. And so it's very refreshing to think that, there's dead people helping us and and it's all about love, but you really can't explain to people what this transition was going to be like because this is so far outside of our knowledge base that most of us who live, especially in this country, um, have any concept of what it's like to truly struggle or suffer. I mean, we've all have suffering, and there's been oppression, and there's been awful things in our world and in our country. But I think on some level, a lot of people's illusions of what they thought, government, neighbors, society, all of those things are, people got an awakening to the fact that they were broken the whole time. So that's a really bitter pill to swallow as we're going forward and trying to figure out how to regroup after all that destructive truth that we've received. So anyway, so that's kind of what I'm going to do tonight is we're going to talk a little bit about this year. Okay. I mean, everybody's like, oh, thank God 2020 is over. Okay. But, we can't really be move forward or through into 2021 until we've learned from and finished and the lessons and all the things that come from 2020. So this is a wonderful time, this next few days, is to really sit and reflect. And so that's the kind of topic I'm going to talk about with you now, is that, the past is over, okay? But it's not over until we get through the process of assessing it. And why did it happen? What did we learn? Who were the teachers? What do we learn from all of those things? And what does that mean to me in my life and who I am? And am I living the life I want to be living? Was I on the hamster wheel? A lot of people had some really rough awakenings to the fact that they've been really like diverted and weren't really noticing all these things that were going on the whole time. And that was really difficult for a lot of people to come to accept. So yeah, so what we want to do in the next few days is we really want to finish. Okay. Now, the way to finish, and you guys might want to write this down because this is good stuff. Okay. So if the thing about the past is it's like a history lesson. Okay. We only look to the past in order to learn from it so that we can create a better future with that new knowledge. Okay. the problem and challenge that we face is that as human beings, we're still kind of blaming and we're feeling victimized. And the healing process is really about coming through that process to a place of acceptance. So I want you to write this down. So if the past is over, okay, if the last year is over, the first question that you should ask yourself in this kind of reflective place is, what did I learn personally? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about other people? What did I learn about society, about government, all those things, religion? What did I learn from some of the history that we've received over the last 12 months? A lot of people found out they're very ill prepared for tragedy. They found that, I mean, I can just tell you like a handful of things right off the bat. Is I can tell you that I was really very unknowledgeable about how government works. And I mean, I thought I knew enough. I've voted every year since I was 18 years old. I've taken my son with me every year ever since he was born. But voting isn't enough. We have to be active participants in democracy. And so, when we look at, and there's a lot of history of government that I didn't know. So I spent the last year really digging in and educating myself about the history of this country and its government and how it works. And then looking at the histories of other countries as well and the things that went wrong for them that, let things like fascism in or communism or any of those other things. So it was just really interesting. So I learned a lot. And that's just one thing out of probably hundreds of things that I can acknowledge that I was ignorant about some of that stuff. And I have really sought to educate myself on some of those things. And it was kind of embarrassing to think that I knew as little as I did. Now the even funnier part is I'm quarantined with two history majors. Okay, they're PhD candidates, and it's early American history and Native American studies. They're ethno-historians, and I can't tell you how many and how tolerant they were of some of the line of questioning that I had about some of the issues that we were being brought up in this dynamic over the last year when it came to government and parties and electoral colleges and all of that. So anyway, so that was one thing that I really learned. And so just voting, I learned, wasn't enough. That and I am very socially active, but I'm on a humanitarian social level. I'm very active um, in the community, and I've not really been as active in understanding about local politicians and districts and all of the. I mean, I've worked with those people, but just not in a nitty gritty way. So anyway, so that was one of my awarenesses that I had, is that there was a lot I didn't know about that, and so I realized that we all, and if we want to keep these things going, that we have to get involved in the leaders that we choose to represent us. It's about character and integrity. And, I don't think that we're looking at those things. I think we have left it up to sometimes these government officials to we've chosen to represent us for the wrong reasons, and yeah, and so I think we're all going to be choosing better as we go forward. So I know I am. So I don't know about the rest of y'all. So the past is over. So as of 2021, we've got to stop giving the past the emotional energy that we are. Part of the grief process as we awaken is denial, anger, sadness, surrender, and acceptance. Okay. So it takes about a year working through that process in a healthy way to really come to that place of acceptance. And so we need to go through that process, letting out that emotion about the things that have happened to you. And we have to really come down to a place of going, yep, that happened. Yep, I survived it. And now what am I going to do with all that information going forward in my life? So truly, people, this is about simplifying our life and connecting to that divinity. There is a really amazing, wonderful thing out there that's guiding this whole thing. Good things are happening, but we've got to get in that flow. So, that was, we're talking about catching the wave of change, and talking about water. So we're in a very creative time right now, but it's very, according to the astrology, it's holding our feet to the fire when it comes to the detail. Okay. So that's why, if you're really going to make changes in your future, you have to take the learning and the lessons from the past, in order to create smarter. Okay, so that's kind of how we're doing that. So I don't know why, but my video went away here. Um, so anyway, I want to see your questions and things like that. So let's see who we got here tonight. We got Crystal, Darcy, Jason, Emily, Sarah. Hey, Sarah. So anyway, oh, hey, Michelle and Emily. Okay, so we're good here, guys. We got quite a few folks on here that are watching. So, okay, so if we really want to be done, we have to be done emotionally, personally, and spiritually. All of these things did not, and although I can tell you that it feels like we've been victimized by these experiences, and some of us have, we have had some very difficult awakenings and awarenesses that have been shown to us in our personal lives or in the world. And the trick is we got to work through that emotion and we've got to be done with it. Okay, we are not victims. We were targets of other people's brokenness, and if we need help with that, we need to start healing those places, because that those experiences make you a warrior. They make you stronger. Okay, if we can get through the victimization. And I have been victimized. I do know what that feels like. But we don't want to keep staying in that place where we're calling in more things to continue to victimize us. We need to be empowered by these experiences. And that's kind of what we do from that spiritual perspective in a session, is we work through the experience to see that this has not been happening to us but for us, to make us great, to make us leaders, to make us, people who've stood in the fire have no trouble standing in the fire because we've already done it. So, so this, makes us stronger than most people. I've met people who've never had anything bad happen to them. Okay, really, like, their life has been pretty charmed. And so when someone dies, or they lose their job, or they have this thing that just completely and utterly knocks them out of their reality, like a divorce or a job loss, I mean, they are literally crippled. They do not know what to do, because it's been that way their whole life. They've had nothing that came along, or people would buffer them from that. And so now they really have absolutely no tools of discernment in order to survive or work through, whatever's happened to them. So I am so grateful, and I can't be anything but grateful for all the experiences I've had, lesser and greater, because they have given me this gigantic craftsman toolbox of resources that I can use to be creative. In fact, I was on my Facebook page, and I'm sure you guys noticed it. I was talking about my MacGyver qualities. Okay, I was raised in a family that was, weird and dysfunctional. My family are all scientists and engineers, so our whole house was put together with duct tape and zip ties. I mean, really, engineers don't fix anything. And my dad was kind of that kind of guy. Put his head in the sand, and until it broke all the way, you just kept using stuff and made do. We didn't always have a lot of money for stuff. So anyway, so I was fixing some things, like the dryer handle and my windshield wiper flew off, and I was, using zip ties and all kinds of things. It was just hilarious, and I thought, God, no experience is truly wasted, because then you always have resources, and uh, and so again, this is the beauty of our past. I mean, I can think about what a screwed up childhood I had, or I can say that, that life made me very resilient. It gave me, when you don't have a lot to work with, you got to get creative with what you have. And I have seen people who do not know how to be creative. They don't know how to take, a sock, duct tape, and, zip ties and fix shit with that. Okay, you can't. And so, yeah, so again, all of my experiences have been just wonderful to make me a pretty resilient and tenacious person. And I hope my tenacity and my resilience reminds you that you're a badass, and, you didn't suffer those things by accident. They happened because, it's something our soul came here to experience. And we're here to help heal our world with that. That's why we're a village. We're here to the meek will inherit the earth, and we will be the ones who are leaders going forward. One day I won't be here anymore. And you guys are always going to have that toolbox and that nobody can take from you because you built it tool by tool inside. Working through our experiences and hopefully not being afraid to take risk and try new things and to get creative in the future. So so the second thing that you want to write down on your list is, so what did you learn is number one. What did you learn? Now, this is not going to be one thing. This is going to be a multitude of things once you sit with it and really think about it. Um, and then the second thing you need to ask yourself in this reflective time that you're going to be having is, what changes do you want going forward? What improvements can we build on? So that's number two. So one is, what did you learn from all of this? And like I said, it's, what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about other people? What did you learn about society? What did you learn about all the things that happen, like our, racial inequality, our LGBT issue, gender, all that, sexuality. I mean, what did we learn from all the things that we've experienced in this last year? And then the second one is, what change do you want going forward to improve upon your situation, or with all this new knowledge? You know, what, uh, yeah, going forward, what do you want to create with all that information? Now, so number three is, we want to commit. We want to really commit to change by creating that intention. And it's not enough to just create an intention. Okay. So after all of this, I would write this all down and I would make a commitment to the universe that I'm going to change. Okay, and this is where sometimes they talk about New Year's resolutions. Okay, well, resolutions are like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then after day two, we're done with it. But when I want to make a covenant with the universe that I am not going to waste those experiences that I had and the learning that I received, that I want to make a commitment with the universe and an intention set in order to be that change out in the world. So all the things that I've learned, where can I apply that out in my life and out in the world? As we're forward moving. So we want to create some kind of a plan. So this is number five. Okay, so we want to really create a plan of. So now that we've learned all this, what can we eliminate? And again, we're simplifying everything, people. Everything's being simplified. Less is more. Because the less you have, the more room the universe has to work in your life. So, purging out useless stuff, purging out emotional stuff, the finishings that come with the experiences that we've had in that grief process. And then we want to have a plan of action of what we really want to create. So, for instance, for me, I want to create our development center again. Okay, that is a huge goal of mine. So, since that isn't here, and that's not necessarily going to happen like in the next couple of months or so, at least, what I need to do is I put the plan as I want a development center again. And so it's about really defining what that looks like on paper, like really creating a business plan of sorts. And then looking at what's in the way of me getting that place. So, what do I need to do in order to make that manifest? So, I need to be prepared as best I can and tell the universe what I'm willing to do, because you want them to trust you with something that big. If we want these things in our life, we've got to be worthy of them. And so if I'm just talking it and I'm not backing it up with action, the universe is not gonna trust us. So because all of this is happening in Capricorn right now, we have to be incredibly detailed. So this is really about it all adding up, and you have to really be more concrete with lists and execution and the willingness to come to this place of acceptance. So there's three words that I want you to write down on a piece of paper, and I want you to hang it on your bathroom mirror. So this whole process, and this is something we're going to work every single day. Okay, that's the goal, is to touch it a little bit every single day. And the first thing is acceptance. Okay, so acceptance means we're not blaming anybody anymore. Yep, that happened. I'm going to just own my part in it, and I'm going to release the rest, because that's all I can do is own my side of the road. Okay. The second word is accountability. Okay. I can't blame anybody. I have to be accountable to myself, my dream, my vision, and not be distracted by what other people are or aren't doing. And healing those insecurities that keep us from really being accountable. Blame is lack of accountability. So anytime we're blaming someone else, it's because we're not taking ownership, okay, for our part, our side of the road. And so these are the three words that we're going to live by in the days going forward. And the third one is action. Okay. We're great on talk and we're great at laying stuff on plans, but truly trying to action oriented or trying to initiate those things. So it means kind of getting off the couch and going out in the world. Now you don't have to, you can socially distance and drive around and look at stuff. You can look for places to be, or you can physically get online and look things up and call them about opportunities and get your resumes ready or whatever it is you want to do. So the three words that we have to really research and apply in our everyday life is acceptance, accountability, and action. That is our mantra going forward. So accountability, acceptance, accountability, and action. So that's what we're going to start working on. Now, sometimes we're still in a place where we just really don't know what to do and we don't have a spiritual game plan. So if you guys book a session with me between now and the second week of January, okay, I'll do it for the next 3 weeks. So until January 15th. If you book a session with me, it'll be $60, okay, instead of 80. All right, so anybody's listening to this that wants to create a spiritual game plan and get in touch with who's helping you in this journey, and you're ready to start really hearing what the universe has to tell you, and you want to create that game plan for yourself, I am offering $60 sessions so that you can set that game plan up so that you can, work through, maybe you and I can work through to acceptance and be finished with some of the things that have happened in the past. And just like I said, take the lesson and let the teacher go. And then accountability and action. So that's going to be, we're goal oriented right now. Our world and a lot of broken people taught us some dumb stuff. Some of those people are dead. Some of those people are still alive. Some of those people are still in our lives. Okay. But we're setting boundaries and we're learning how to, work our way out of these things and own our part in it and tell the universe that we're worthy and ready for what's coming. But this is in Capricorn. Okay. Capricorns are very detail oriented. It's all about things adding up. And the universe is holding our feet to the fire about how bad do you want it? Are you willing to work for it? And you're willing to own your side of the road? And are you willing to get in that flow, that reciprocal flow of how the universe operates? So if we're sending out negative things, it's just going to come back at you. Okay. So you've got to be very conscious of what you're saying out loud, what you're feeling, and how to process that. So this is very important that we get a game plan. So if any of you want to do that between now and January 15th, if you book a session with me, it's only $60. Okay. Because I want you guys on the road. I want you feeling confident and empowered and healed from the things that we've experienced in this life. And these are the things that are making us leaders and warriors. Okay. We are here to change this world and get involved. So one of the things that I have not been able to be with people, and I'm looking forward to the time, and it's taken a lot to decompress me from dealing, talking to people every day like I normally do. I'm out in the thick of things all the time. So this has really had me reevaluating where I want to put my energies. What kind of environments do I really want to have myself in going forward? And so yeah, this is a wonderful time for making those plans. Okay. And then again, action. We have to be action oriented and being willing to clear the road and educate ourselves so that we can get in that reciprocal flow. So the universe operates what we call reciprocally. Okay. So what you send out with force is returned at an equal or greater force. It's kind of like quantum physics. Everything cycles. The universe cycles. So again, when we put energies out, those things come back to you. They manifest. So if we're putting out fear, the universe sends you things to fear. You're still not done with that fear place. So they're just going to keep sending you what you asked for. And so once you come to a place of realizing that sucks and I don't want to do that anymore, we've got to change our verbiage, change our thinking, change the way we see things, and the better way to do that is to come to this higher spiritual awareness. It's almost like a aerial view of your life and what you've been manifesting all along. So again, when we go through this process of reflecting, what did you learn? What changes do you want to make going forward in yourself, in your situations, in the world, even? And then committing to that change by creating that intention and a forward moving plan. Okay. And then we need to hold ourselves to the mantra of acceptance, accountability, and action. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at right now. So this astrology is very difficult. Okay, a lot of people are having some very awful awarenesses about themselves. Some people are still in denial about their part of the problem, and that's okay because I am not worried about them. This is about clearly focusing on your own journey, and you will be changing people just by changing. The people around you will start getting gentler. They'll start moving. They'll start getting inspired. But you can't inspire people if you're not willing to walk it. And that's the biggest challenge, is that we've been short on action. We've been short on planning because it feels like you can't set a plan, but you can make a plan. Okay, it's very challenging to do that right now, but even if you just plan for inches instead of a mile, some days we're creeping through this on 1 inch at a time, but at least we're moving forward. So yeah, I'd love to create some game plans with you guys. So let's take a look at the questions we have here and what we got going on, and we'll answer some of those. Jason, what did I learn? I would have thought that would be easier to answer for me, but I truly have to think about it. I'm almost scared to find the answer. Exactly. And this is why people don't like stillness. Okay. And they divert themselves with, you know, other things. So whether it's drugs and alcohol or Facebook, something that diverts them from having to look at themselves or have to feel or get clear about where they're at. Absolutely, Jason. And they're afraid. They're afraid because of a lot of reasons. They're afraid they're going to wake up and go, I've pissed off 30 years of my life. They're afraid to find out that they're the part of the problem. And so that's why having somebody in your world that's going to hold your hand while you throw up on your shoes. Okay, that's what I do. Is that you know eh, the beauty about accountability, okay, is it's also about being accountable to yourself and not blaming yourself either. Okay, we've all done things we're not proud of. We have all made really shitty choices because we only had so many tools and we didn't know any better. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we just, give ourselves a bye, but a lot of the things I did in my ignorance. Okay, and I'm not ignorant now. So yes, hindsight being 2020, we can beat ourselves up with that stuff, and we certainly do not want to do that. Okay, it's just ownership, honey. It's just owning it. You know, it it got fucked up, and now we're going to change it. It's pretty much that simple. But what do we learn from it? Okay, if we don't learn something from it, then that's the problem. Okay, but we've all done things in our ignorance. We haven't had enough people, healthy people in our lives, who've been helping us do those things. Our society, the systems that are designed to protect people are sometimes more abusive than situations they're coming from. I mean, I've advocated going to situations with people. I've gone to welfare with folks. I have seen some social workers treat people so bad. The bias and the bigotry that's in those industries. You think they were giving away their own damn money. Okay. And that's why I go with people, because I'm not emotionally beat down at this point where I can't hold the energy while you're doing your talking or you need me to speak for you. I mean, I don't normally do that, but I've pulled social workers aside and told them, hey, if you're not going to treat this person like a decent human being, I will get you fired. I have said that. If you go to social services, they know who I am up there. Okay. And so I'm just saying that that's what we have to do. We have to advocate for each other. Like I said, Jason, we've all done things, in our ignorance, or we were taught ignorant things by people who didn't know any better either. And so accountability is not even blaming ourselves. It's just saying, yep, I did that and I'm not going to do that anymore. Okay? That's it. That's simple. Don't be afraid. The truth will set you free. It's just like Gloria Steinem said. The truth will set you free. I can't change anything I can't acknowledge. And yes, is truth painful? Absolutely, it can be. But I would rather have a momentary issue with pain than to live every day in ignorance. Okay? Because the only person who doesn't know you're ignorant is you. Okay? So everybody else knows you're ignorant but you. So yeah, that's painful too. So I would rather go through a momentary uncomfortableness of truth and ownership, and then we're done with it. It's over. Now, what do we do with that, and how are we going to go move forward? So yeah, you can't even blame yourself. Ah, I'm telling you, Emily, Emily Sue, Emily said there's something to be said for experience. Experience really is the greatest teacher. You can read about this stuff in a book. I can tell you what it's like to have these experiences, but till you actually get your hands dirty and you actually do it, you don't know a damn thing. Okay? So, experience, you cannot replace experience. All wisdom is from experience, not from reading about it. I always used to say in teaching that it's kind of like gardening. You can read every book there is to know about gardening. You know, you can get a master's degree, become a master gardener, and never plant a damn thing. But until you've tilled that soil and planted that seed and watered it and nurtured it and weeded it and brought it to harvest, you don't know a goddamn thing about gardening, right? So, experience. And you can't, and it's going to take risk, guys. It's okay. You're not alone. Hey, everybody. Our pain does become our purpose, Dottie Cooper. Absolutely. If it wasn't for the painful experiences in my life that led me to be compassionate with other people. I mean, even though I was extensively bullied, I'm, you know, mildly autistic. I operate on this whole other frequency. It was because of the tragedies in my life that made me compassionate to people who have had painful experiences. That's why I do what I do, because nobody defended me. Nobody. And I don't ever want anybody to feel like that. So compassion is born of that shared experience. And our pain does become our purpose. Dottie Cooper, you're absolutely right. Hey, Josh. I would love to hear more about this development center. Maybe Bee Riley people could get involved. Well, Josh, Tony and I have been talking about that since it opened. Um, I've had the development center for, well, let's see. I opened the first one. I took a hiatus and I opened the first one in like 1990, 2002. I don't know, back there anyway. Um, and again, it was just about the space. The village still exists. I still do personal and spiritual development. It's just that um, I was looking for space and was in the middle of possibly purchasing one when COVID hit. So I had to move. So it just wasn't for right now. Um, yeah, but absolutely, Josh. That's something Tony and I talked about the whole time. So I do workshops on spiritual recovery. And I've always wanted to be doing workshops with Tony. I do them for other facilities, like um, people who work in mental health or over in elder care. I do supportive workshops for social workers and folks like that. But I would love to do that, Josh. I'll give you a call. I will. I'm glad to see you on here, by the way. Crystal, how do you get out of a cycle of fear and panic? I can't shake a constant feeling of panic since my mom passed a year ago. Okay, so, like I've talked about in the past, Crystal, and for anyone else who resonates with that question, talking dehydrates you. Um, well, first of all, every grief is different. And it depends on who died. Okay, so let's say you have a mom, or you have an auntie, or you've got a grandma or grandpa, or a parent. All of those griefs are different because of the relationship, number one. Secondly, it depends on what kind of relationship you have with them. Was it good? Was it bad? Was there trauma? And so that brings a whole other level of things to the grief. Then, how did they die? Did they die because they were sick? Was it a tragedy? Was it self-induced? So the way they passed away has a lot to do with it as well. And so that process of grief is not just about the person who's passed away. A lot of the grieving that we do is we're grieving ourselves as well. So that's what people have been taught when it comes to grieving, is that, for instance, I have parents who've had addicted children die from overdose. And there's a dynamic in when you're dealing with somebody who's hurting themselves or is terminally ill. You're technically doing a lot of your grieving while they're alive, because this is a death sentence on some level. And so there's this feeling of relief when they pass away. And a lot of people feel horribly guilty because they feel relieved. Well, they're either a caretaker, or they were, trying to run around and prevent this person from killing themselves. And so now that's done, and they don't have to do that anymore. So some of these things create a feeling of relief when we're grieving. So every of those griefs is unique, and that's why we can't just put a cookie cutter on time. How long does it take you to work through the trauma with somebody who is awful to you dying, and you don't get a chance to tell them to go F off before they die, or you don't get to be heard. Well, there's ways to process that while the person isn't here anymore. And so that's what I help people do. But you have to remember, Crystal, your brain is actually going through a healing process that takes like up to 3 years. This happens in addiction. So there's a grief process with recovery. Okay. And so when you don't have your drug of choice anymore, your brain has been dependent on that for a really long time. And so feeling again and having dreams and all of these things start to, because you were numb to all this before. And so now that you're feeling again and your brain's waking up, your brain's trying to process and heal itself from that trauma. And in the middle of all that, then you have other traumas like people dying, or some of this other stuff. And so yeah, so fear is lack of faith. Okay. And frankly, when we've been um we like to think we're in control. And a lot of times when we wake up after these circumstances, especially with your mom passing, is that, you know, we don't realize how much they've done, good or bad, to us. And so the process is, that maybe we were more dependent on her than we knew. And so fear is lack of control. Okay, anxiety and fear is lack of control and faith, and panic is fear. Okay, and so the more empowered you become, the more you start trusting yourself to do the right thing. That takes time for the brain to process that, and we have to process emotions as we do that as well. So yes, well, and again, your central nervous system is raw, and you're feeling everything, and you instantly assume it's all yours. This is why we do those spiritual cleansings of energy, so that you can know what's mine, what's not mine. Am I being accountable to myself? And again, this is a process. This takes a plan. It takes a program. Sometimes it takes a mental health professional. But having those spiritual tools is helping us say, you know what, I'm good today. I'm good today. I got this. And I can only do this one moment, one day at a time, for real. Whether you're in a program or not. Um, we can't. We change happens consistently, and that's the problem. Is nobody's really consistent. You can have a great thought, but if you don't put it into practice every day, it's not going to work. And we have to create new habits, new patterns in our brain as it's trying to heal and work through that process. So I hope that helps. But if not, maybe you and I can, talk about some things. Jason. Oh my God, yes. Being accountable without obsessing about my own faults and making myself a monster. Exactly. That's just, we're going to shut that damn. What's your stripper name? We got to give you a stripper name, Jason. We're not listening to him anymore. He's awful. Just like Mercedes. She used to say bad things. Well, we're still here together, Jason. And that's why I'm really glad that all of you guys are connecting on here. We have these virtual events, and you come to classes, and that's something I'm going to get to in a little bit. You get to meet each other, and then you can, rely on each other like that's why we have the Moon Lodge, the women's circle that gets together. We've been getting together a long time. So, people are finding out how important people are, right? Everybody thinks, oh, I hate people. I want to stay at home. Okay, well, here you go. Nicely done. Now you're all alone. How's that working? Hey, Diana. All right, kids. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, just go ahead and type them here and I'll be happy to answer it. If you wanted to give me a call as well, you're welcome to give me a call and we can talk about something specifically. Maybe I can do, a little channeling for you. But I did want to finish with this. I updated my website. And so if you guys go to mariannegoldweber.com, there's an events page, and I have posted three very important classes. And these are kind of like the beginner classes, and they're going to happen every, like, the dream interpretation class, for instance, is going to happen on the first Sunday of every month going forward, at least until this is all over. So I'm going to repeat it monthly. All the classes repeat monthly. So don't wait to take a class. And they're only $30, okay? And it's very comprehensive. I don't want you having to take, dream interpretation one and dream interpretation two. I want to give you guys the tools so that you can do this. And you'll always have that reference. I am probably anyway, so if you go to mariannegoldweber.com, you're going to see all the classes that I've put out there, and they're going to repeat monthly. So I've got dream interpretation, I've got defining our relationships. Okay, this is a huge class. So this is about the words we use to describe relationships, and really putting the right people in the right categories and manifesting better relationships, whether it's work, friends, romantic, uh, all of that. Okay. And so defining our relationships is that's the steak and hot dog thing that I talk about all the time. We want steak, but we keep settling for hot dogs. So the universe keeps sending hot dogs down the conveyor belt of life. Well, if you're sick of eating hot dogs, maybe you're the problem, and we need to look at how we define our relationships. So that's a fun one for me. That's one of my favorite classes. And then the other one is care and feeding of the empath. How do you care for your empathic self? And what makes us so empathic that it's almost debilitating for me. And most empathic people, there's a lot of reasons why people are empathic, which means I feel energy, whether it's coming from people or places, and learning to disown that energy through self care. Okay, so we have to take care of ourselves so that we have kind of a force field against lower energies. And that's the challenge, is most people have not been taught how to nurture themselves. And so they keep going out into that chaotic world low and uninspired, and they're coming home feeling worse than ever. And it can actually be debilitating. So I want to talk a lot about that. So yeah, the defining our relationships is really wonderful. Thank you for that, Emily. And so again, I'm looking forward to doing these classes and doing more of these live events. If you guys want to book a party, where you get your friends and family on Zoom with me, and then I can do a channeling event for them. So if you wanted to do that, you're also, during that time, if you have somebody who could really use some of this help and you want to pay for a session for them, have them call me to schedule it, and then or pay for it, and then have them call me to schedule it. It be by January 15th, and it's $60. So it's really fun to do these things with friends, because then you have each other. You don't have just me and you. You have your family, your friends. They've all heard the same information. I can also do these classes for a group. Okay, so if, let's say, you and your homegirls want to have defining our relationships class, you can all schedule one of your own. Okay, any topic that I do, I can do for private groups. So it doesn't just have to be channeling; it could be a class. And again, how much better will you be as friends if you guys have taken all the same classes? Then you have your own village, your own support group of, encouraging and supporting each other while we're still kind of all disconnected out here. So let me see what other questions we have here. Oh my God. I know Jason, right? I always think of what was that guy's name? What was that guy's name? The porn star. Oh, what was his name? He died. Of course he did. You know, he had like sex with 8,000 people. Okay. Jenna Harrington. Sounds like I need to attend a class. I'm struggling so much with a lot of shit, right? Between family relationships and my son's behavior is all over the place. He has severe ADHD. I'm supposed to take care of everyone and everything, and I can't do it. I always end up with me miserable. Right. So there's a lot in there, Jenna. And again, when you get peaceful and you aren't trying to please a million masters, somebody who has ADHD, okay, there's a lot there's a lot behind that psychically, okay. Kids with ADD or ADHD are very sensitive to energy, and so that care of the empath class is not only just for you, it's going to help you understand maybe your non-neurotypical child. Okay, I'm a non-neurotypical person. I can not only am I sensitive to energy, my friend, I am very good at manipulating it. Okay, so I know when you're low. I know how far I can get. I can run you over with my energy, and that's why, Jenna, if you're not full, people are running you over. You don't have good boundaries, whether they're psychic boundaries, emotional boundaries, there's physical boundaries. And again, if you don't take care of you, you're not going to have the energy to set a boundary. And that's why these classes would be perfect for you. But if not, until you can take some of those, I would definitely schedule a session so that we can talk a little more about that. Because I'm going to I do workshops on those things with parents of autistic children or non-neurotypical children, and come to find out their parents are non-neurotypical too. And again, these are symptoms, okay? And kids need order. They need discipline, loving, kind discipline and consistency. And if we're scattered, we're not being consistent, okay? And those kids, they will run you over. They are master manipulators with energy, and they are also incredibly sensitive to it. So if we don't create peaceful environments in our home, he's just gonna swirl and twirl on that energy. So yeah, kids are very psychic anyway, and non-neurotypical kids are even off the charts. Okay, I'm one of them. Just so you know, I can tell you some horror stories about that. But yeah, I learned how to manage myself. So we have to teach him how, how to articulate what he's feeling, how to say, "Mommy, I need to take space. I need to," we can do this. There's lots of things that we can do, Jenna. I would love to help you, honey. Okay, Sarah. Sarah, I know, right? Oh my God. So Sarah's like, Karen feeding of the empath class was life changing for me. Nothing is funnier than having a room full of empaths, okay? They all think each other are annoying. It's like, yeah, right? I mean, we're like, oh, I'm sensitive to energy. Okay, you're also flinging energy. We all do that, And it is eye opening, isn't it, Sarah? Oh my God, it's just one of my favorite classes. It's like having a room full of Mariannes, and they're all annoying. Dirt Diggler. Dirt. No, I was thinking about the other guy, older, back further, Jenny. Dirt Diggler. Is he the porn star? Oh, who's the other guy? Oh my God. I thought his name was Johnny. Can't remember. John Holmes. Oh yeah, John Holmes. That's who it was. Was his name Holmes? God, the things we talk about on these sessions. Oh, yeah, I've been around the block. Diana, I have been experiencing something new. It's not all frightening. It's really pleasant. I don't understand it. It's a duality of presence. I'm totally here in momentarily, very much somewhere else. It's very real. Yes. And that's kind of that zone, the happy place that we talk about is that place between wake and sleep, but when you're in a conscious state, that's a very meditative place to be able to journey to. But again, it's easy to twirl off to that. We need to stay concrete in this human world, because that can get kind of squirrely real quick. Okay, so if it's happening a lot, but I definitely would love to talk to you about that, Diana. So what she's talking about is kind of being in this duality of realities, okay? And I'm telling you guys, sometimes being alone is not good, okay? Because when we're twirling around in our head or we're just focusing on spiritual stuff, we are not here to be spirit. We are here to be human. And so what we have to do is we have to take spiritual concepts to apply in our everyday human life. You're not meant to know the inner workings of the cosmos. Guys, I only go in there because to get information. I don't just swirl around in there all day. I would lose my shit. Okay, you delusions happen very quickly when you are away from reality. Okay, and this isolation can make that very challenging. So yes, Diana, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a very meditative state. We just want to make sure that we, ground ourselves in this human world and that we're staying present. Lori Carpenter. Okay. I have some very overwhelming stuff going on caused by other people's need to learn lessons. I'm exhausted being drugged through this, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll come out with a. Well, right. So if we have people in our lives, Lori, so what Lori's asking is that she's overwhelmed because other people are needing to learn lessons in her life, and she's exhausted and being drugged through it. Whatever. But it is it isn't what it is. Okay, I hate that phrase. But it is what it is. That's not true. It's very specifically happening for a reason. Maybe I'll come out with a lesson too, right? No, well, so sometimes we're waking up and realizing people have a bag of stuff, and their stuff has been affecting us. And so maybe we're realizing that we, you know, made choices without knowing people well enough, and now they're invited in our life, and now their stuff is affecting us. There are boundaries that you can do, though, Lori. There are ways to set boundaries and to, get through your emotion about it, and make changes. Okay. And it does mean that we bail on people, but we have to look at how did they get in our life and what did we overlook? And now we're having to, change the way we address things. So that's where a game plan would be wonderful. But, we're not victims to it. If their stuff is affecting you, we're allowing it on some level. So that's the ownership, girl. It's not easy, but we can't change what we can't acknowledge. And so I would highly recommend getting a session. Since the podcast you do with Gloria, I found out she's been best friends with my friend's mom since they were in grade school together. Such a small world. Oh no, really, Josette, it's crazy. Like, I feel like I'm Kevin Bacon, and when I look at Facebook, it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like, between Jared's music world, having the herb store, being in banking, I've been all over the place. And when I see the connection between people, it's just fascinating. It's like Gloria and I, the story we kind of told that night was Gloria owns an essential oil company, and I owned an urban tea store in Rocky River. And Jared was just a baby. He was only 18, not even 18 months old when I opened the store. And Gloria had come in to have me carry her product. And I carried essential oils, but she makes these wonderful blends, and she puts like crystals in them. I mean, she's really a pro. I mean, she's very good at it. And so, I mean, she's a huge energy. I'm a huge energy. I mean, we used to, hang out all the time. She'd come into the store. And then fast forward all these years later, here she sings. I used to sing in a band. Gloria used to sing in a band. And now my son, the little guy creeping up the stairs she's got to see all the time at the herb store, now she's playing with him on stage. Jared's playing the harmonica and she's singing. It was amazing. It's small world. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, Gloria's been all over too. Michelle, I need this empath class. That sounds crazy. Oh no. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, empaths are very concerned with how energies affect them, but they are not as concerned with how their energy is affecting other people. We have an accountability as empaths to keep ourselves full and rested so that my low energy doesn't affect other people. There's an accountability with empath, being a flaming empath. Um, and once you learn about it and understand it, there's a huge accountability that comes with that. I don't like how people use the word empath right now because everybody's an empath. Everybody has an energy field that attaches and affixes and can feel things. Okay. Some people are like this. Some people are, got it all the way. but there's varying degrees of it. But when people use that as an excuse, you're like, oh, I can't go in public. I'm an empath. Or, oh, that person's energy's awful. I'm like, oh my God, like really. So I'm not very sympathetic. Remember, we talked about sympathy in the last one. I do empathize and I can tell people, but there's a huge responsibility um, with being an empath, especially one that's, you know, off the charts. But we're all empathic. This isn't a gift. It's like psychicness. We're all intuitive. It's just that we haven't been taught how to trust and use it. So we'll all get there. Johnny Holmes. Yeah, right, Lori? I know. So there you go, Jason. There's another stripper name for you. John Holmes. Yeah. Oh my God. I have a very funny story for that, but I can't tell you guys over on the internet. Ron Jeremy. Yeah, Ron Jeremy. That's another one. Oh my God, isn't that funny? Now everybody's going to be Googling who these guys are, okay? Because all these young folks have no idea who they are. So, so what we're referring to, people, is Jason needed a stripper name, uh, and and so we decided we were going to pull porn stars out, and we were trying to figure out what their names were. And so when we're talking about John Holmes and all these other things, that's why we're talking about it. But if you go back and watch the video, you'll understand. Marianne, would you ever read a child who has lost both her parents and is searching to connect with them? She's my daughter's best friend. She's spending lots of time in our home. No. Michelle, you'll have to call me about that. Um, Grief is a powerful thing. Okay. I have seen people kill themselves over grief. Okay. So I don't know who her guardian is. Okay. But I would not do anything with a child, um, or unless they're mental health professional or their um, parental, their guardian was okay with that. Because yeah, losing both your parents, you don't know what situation she's in. We can't just give kids spiritual information. Or, I was just working with somebody who is so fixated on death that, the universe, it's very dangerous. Sometimes information is not a good thing, okay, in that way. We want to steer them clear of that and work them through the emotional human stuff. But no, I would not necessarily do that without, and that's something you and I can talk about privately. But yeah, there's a huge responsibility for that. Yeah, our helping can be interfering. Okay, I'm just letting you know that. So I take this very seriously. That poor kid. I'm so sorry for that, Michelle. Well, I mean, you're another mother in her village. I mean, all you can really share with a kid like that is that, you know, things happen for reasons we may not understand. Um, and that her parents are still loving her. And I don't know it depends on how they died. Okay. So there's a lot to this and how you would em, embrace it or encourage that. So yeah, give me a call about that. All right, kids. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, hold on, Dan. I could be focusing on making jewelry. Suddenly I'm playing hopscotch. Alrighty then, Diana. I'm not quite clear if that's literal or figurative. Hopscotch in your mind, or all of a sudden you're drawing on your family's rug and you're playing hopscotch. Oh, give me a call. We'll have to talk about that. I know, Debbie. Isn't that funny how we know those names? But that's funny. All right, kids. So anyway, so new year, new you. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. The inmates have been running the asylum and we all been sitting here watching them. So what can we do to get empowered in our own lives? And really, that's what this is about. This is a wonderful time to get serious, to get clear about yourself, to get clear on your life. The past is done. Okay. Commiserating about how it got screwed up, that's not going to change it. Okay. We just have to come to a place of understanding and acceptance. It is what it, and I hate that saying that we need to take the lessons out of it and then seek to be the change out in the world, whether it's in our own world or out in the world. And so, one thing I have learned is that we're so disconnected as a society that it's so important for us to stay engaged and connected and compassionate with one another. We have to learn how to set boundaries and be good choosers of who we allow in our life and into our life out in the world, and I've learned that, integrity is a huge issue in our world right now. You know, if we judge people based on how they walk this world and the things they do, um, not by what they say, we'd be picking way different things. So, and how can we get involved out there in that world? It's not always about you or what's going on in your life. How can we be of service out there as well? And there are a million ways to do that. And that's what we're going to be talking about going forward. So, again, the past is over. This is it, people. Learn from it and just take the lessons and let the teachers go. Okay. And all we can do is change what's going on right now. Okay, and so the things that you need to write to reflect on are: what did I learn? What change do you want to see going forward for yourself or in the world? Um, and we want to create a commitment, a verbal commitment, to bringing that intention. And we want to create one thing that's going to solidify that in this human world that tell the universe we're serious. So we need like a business plan. We need a plan of action and execute one thing on it to prove it. Okay. And then we want to, do it in a doable way, which is one day at a time. Okay. And then then our mantra to remind ourselves of what we're doing is acceptance, accountability, and action. The 3 A's: acceptance, accountability, and action. Okay. Acceptance just means accepting it. I can't change it. There's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is learn from it and not do it anymore. And that's where we come to that place of acceptance. But that takes time. And again, if we're still having trouble working through the grief process to coming to acceptance on anything in our life, call me, schedule a session. They're $60 if you book your session between now and January 15th. And I have the classes coming up, so go to mariannegoldweber.com/events, and you're going to see my whole class schedule there. And I'll be adding things as we go, and I'll be doing this live feed every week. So I'm looking forward to it. And so yeah, I can't wait to see what we create. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's see if we have any final questions. Yes, new year, new you. Okay, Selena, the women's circle is always around or on the new moon. And you want to go to the Moon Lodge page for that. And then we'll be happy to let you know. We're doing it virtually. I have been getting together, depending on the weather, in the park with a couple of people, if they want to meet up with me. I mean, the last one I sat in the park by myself, but I was in the car and I did do a live video. So go onto the Village Moon Lodge and join. If we have men out there that want to look at this feminine aspect of spirituality within themselves, you're welcome to join the Moon Lodge too. There's a lot of information under files. We follow a book. And so we celebrate that around the new moon, and that's a time of purging. So we just are in the full moon right now. So this would be a wonderful time between now and like this weekend for you to, use that full moon energy to put out into the world what you want to create. So that's something we want to write that down and burn it, offer it up. And so when we make those, covenants or agreements with the universe about what we want, I always burn a copy of that. And I say, universe, creator, I am committed. And this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to work toward in my life. And I write it down and I offer it. It's a wonderful ritual, burning things, definitely. So if you guys have any questions between now and whenever, give me a call. It's 216-324-2657. And my phone number and everything is on my website, which is www.mariannegoldweber.com. And I'm so grateful for all you guys. I'm so excited for all these changes. I've had a lot of communications from the universe about this, and a million confirmations, but we have to get accountable, and we are the leaders. Okay, so what are we doing? Let's do it. I'm tired of sitting around crying about it. We're not doing that anymore. We are not a victim. We are victors, and let's all do this together. So It's amazing. We want to leave this world better than we found it, not only for ourselves, but for our children and, the generations to follow. We have to be the change. So, thanks so much for tonight. I'm Marianne Goldweber, a Village Personal and Spiritual Development, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much, guys.